Hello everyone, Mitchell back here on my sports talk YouTube channel. This is a second day in a row by doing another whiteboard bracket. It's gonna be out from the CBS Sports Jerry Palm tournament projection. I watched that once I woke up this morning on his new projections. It was probably literally at midnight after the Super Bowl game just got over Sunday night, and he started to have a seeding, and that I think they have a lot of implications there. I mean, he did from about 8 to 9. He ended about from 8 to 9 there. So without any further ado, let's go over the first four first, just for fun. We have Memphis playing Florida, which will be a good game. Utah State, which was in the NCAA last year, they're also going to be in for the second year in a row. Mississippi State is new to the field. And then Robert Morris, who beat Kentucky in the NIT a few years ago, is still in the field, and they are still playing Norfolk State, which is where John Beilein's son coaches. And then we have Monmouth playing Texas Southern in the 16 versus 16 matchup. That's probably the most notable 16 versus 16 matchup, because Texas Southern did beat Michigan State a few years ago. So I'm gonna keep that in my mind for sure. And you guys keep that in your mind when you're filling out the brackets. You never know, it is March Madness. So without any further ado, let's start with the South region, the Elite Eights in Houston. I have Baylor beating the Robert Morris or Norfolk State winner, so they'll obviously get that one. Arkansas and Xavier. I think Xavier has far more talent than Arkansas, so we'll go with Xavier to take the dubs there. And then Baylor will move on to the Sweet 16. To the other half of it, Oregon will beat Tulsa, which Tulsa is actually a pretty premier team heading into the tournament. But how about this one, folks? I have New Mexico State finally pulling out an upset when they could have pulled it out against Auburn last year, which Auburn went to the Final Four. I think they are doing it. I mean, the Bulldogs haven't been in since about 2014 and 2015. They're still trying to transition, playing in big tournament type of play. So I think I am having that as an upset there. And then Illinois and Utah, the winner of Utah State and Mississippi State. I have Utah State. I think Utah State should have went a lot further last year. So I have them pull out an upset against the Illini, which is fun to pick 11 and 6 seeds. Auburn will beat Bowling Green, and then their Cinderella run will end against the Tigers. Auburn. Arizona and Oklahoma. I think Arizona hasn't really been in the tournament in a long time, and Oklahoma has had Trae Young. They've had Buddy Hield. They're happy to be back in the field again. So I see Oklahoma pulling out the dubs there, and then Florida State will beat Austin Peay, and then Florida State will advance to the Sweet 16, and they will also beat Auburn, because Auburn's missing Bryce Harper, and they're missing some other key weapons that aren't back from last year's Final Four team. So I have them out of this round. I have them out in the 16 early. So, and then for a spot in the Final Four, I have Baylor beating Florida State. I just think, from watching highlights and that, they're definitely the best NCAA team. I know it's an overall seed. It's very big risk taking a #1 overall seed, but I think Baylor has it all, and they will make a trip to Atlanta. So that'll be my first representative of the Final Four. Just to show you guys, they will be my first one before you see my secret next ones. Now in the West region, it's in Los Angeles, so San Diego State fans are going to travel very well. So speaking of San Diego State, they are going to be the second biggest overall seed. They are going to play the winner of Texas Southern or Monmouth, which I think would be Texas Southern. We'll pick up the dubs in a 1-16 matchup there. And then Indiana will beat Stanford. I didn't spell Stanford as good, but Indiana will definitely beat them. But then they're on against San Diego State, because San Diego State just has premier talent. They have a reason, even though they're in a very small, they're not even in a mid-major conference. They're the most deserving for a #1 seed in the region, just because of the way they're playing and how hard they're playing. But how about this half of the region? I have Colorado losing to Stephen F. Austin, who beat Duke this year before Thanksgiving. So I have them doing it in the bracket. And then Liberty and Penn State, I have Liberty winning as well after they won last year as well. So, and now I'll have Liberty in the Sweet 16, because Stephen F. Austin, I think, will be out of the gas after beating Colorado. I think Liberty is due to make it that far, but then San Diego State will end their Cinderella run. LSU without Tremont Waters will beat BYU. Seton Hall will beat Colgate. Rutgers, I think, will beat Rhode Island in a very good 7 versus 10 matchup. The 7-10 matchups are always fun, but I think Rutgers would pull it out, and Rhode Island is also new to the field, so that's actually an interesting fun fact there. And then Duke will beat Charleston. LSU will play Duke, but LSU without Tremont Waters, they can't really do much, as I mentioned earlier. I think Duke's just unbelievably talented. They have R.J. Barrett back. They have serious size last year compared to last year's team that lost in the Elite Eight game to Michigan State. So that for a spot in the Elite Eight, we have Duke and San Diego State. But for the Final Four, I have the Blue Devils beating San Diego State, and they're moving on to where they normally belong, which is the Final Four game. So congratulations, Duke. You will be in the Final Four. And then Kansas and South Dakota State. Kansas will win that one, and I think I'm going to have Houston beating Michigan because Michigan's so struggling later on in the season. Xavier Simpson was suspended last week, and it's a very disappointing turnout as a fan on how rough they've been playing lately. But lots of time left. But I'll just take the Cougars just because they've been so inconsistent, and Michigan's just not the team that they were early on in this season. So, and then Iowa without Jordan Bohannon will beat Yale, and then Villanova will beat Vermont. Marquette will beat the winner of Florida and Memphis, which will be a very good game. So that'll be a nerve-wracking second-round game if that happened, if they play an 11 seed, because 11 seeds are dangerous in the March Madness. But I have my Golden Eagles pulling it out there. And then Maryland will beat Winthrop, obviously. And then Maryland will also eliminate Marcus Howard and Marquette. So even if Marquette does win one game in the NCAA tournament, I'm happy with that. But then, how about this? I have the Iowa Hawkeyes going to the Elite Eight. They're upsetting Kansas first for a spot in the Sweet 16. And then the Elite Eight, they're gonna beat, Kansas beat Houston and go to Sweet 16. But I have them beating the number 1 seed, and I have them also beating Louisville, just because Luka Garza has a ton of basketball in him left. I think they're really gonna fight it till the end, and I think they will be our regional champions for the East region from the Madison Square Garden. In the Midwest region, I kind of spoiled it there. It's not gonna happen, but here it is: Gonzaga and Wichita State and Wisconsin. I think Wisconsin, after being at the Badger game Saturday, they played very well. They're deserving for a 9th seed compared to a 10th seed. So congrats on them on moving up in their seeding line. And I think they're going to beat Wichita State in a very, very tough matchup. And we'll take the Badgers there. And then I have them also upsetting Gonzaga. Gonzaga is always normally in the field, but after a while, their NCAA tournament time, that they kind of fall apart sometimes just because of the competitive factors of the NCAA tournament. So I think Wisconsin will beat them, and I also think they will beat Michigan State just like they did Saturday. They shut down Cassius Winston. They almost won. They only won by 1, but I think they're gonna really keep their Cinderella run going in the NCAA tournament, and I have them going to the Elite Eight. And then lastly, for this half of the region, I have Northern Iowa, who had a huge over the half-court shots against Texas in 2016. I have them upsetting Kentucky, and I know a lot of people are paying attention on Northern Iowa because they are the real deal, and I think they're going to beat Calipari's Wildcats. And then West Virginia, I also have them beating West Virginia, and I just think their run's just going to continue till the Elite Eight. So in the bottom half here, I have Ohio State playing Dayton, and Ohio State would beat St. Mary's. And I don't know, I just had to pick a team there. I'm definitely 50-50 on the matchup for how well St. Mary's is performing in regular season play. But had to take Caleb Weston again in the Buckeyes. And Dayton will move on to the Sweet 16 to play Northern Iowa. And then Northern Iowa's run, this is an ironic one, but Florida State almost made the Final Four in the year Michigan last did. They almost made it as a 9th seed. So I think this is the year we'll get a 9th seed in the NCAA Final Four. And that will be the Badgers of Wisconsin. They will be playing Iowa in the Big Ten versus Big Ten matchup. But I think Iowa is just fundamentally more prepared than Wisconsin. They beat Wisconsin once this year. And I think Wisconsin's just going to be out of it by then. So is Iowa. But I think they will be the team that takes it in the first national semifinal. And then for Baylor and Duke, I just think Baylor with their premier talent, I will have them in the national championship. And then this is very obvious, but I'll take the #1 overall seed Baylor to win it all. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I think other than the Big Ten versus Big Ten Final Four, I think it's a very ideal bracket, especially, let's see here, in the South and West. I think those are both very ideal picks. So hope you guys enjoyed it, and comment what you think below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment, and see you next time on the M Sports Talk YouTube channel.